If you went to high school in the US, you've definitely heard of advanced placement. AP. It's sold to us as the absolute peak of academic rigor, right? The best way to get a leg up, earn some college credit. But what if I told you the AP program isn't just a bunch of tough classes? What if it's actually a massive, self-sustaining economic machine, hiding in plain sight? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and deconstruct it.
So, to really wrap our heads around the scale of this thing, we have to follow the money. As of 2023, the College Board, the nonprofit that runs the whole AP show, was sitting on over $1.77 billion in cash and investments. Yeah, billion with a B. This is not some small educational group. It's a financial powerhouse. And the way it's all built is, well, it's kind of brilliant.
You see, the whole AP ecosystem is basically a perfect circular economy. It works like this. Step 1. The College Board creates a big academic hurdle. That's the high-stakes AP exam. Step 2. A huge industry pops up to sell you the ladders to get over that hurdle. This creates this perfect self-sustaining loop where the problem and the solution are two sides of the same very, very profitable coin. So here's how we're going to break this machine down, piece by piece. First, we'll look at the protocol setters, right at the center of it all. Then we'll explore the massive prep industry they've created, the venture capitalists who are funding it, and some of the major cracks that are starting to show in this foundation. And finally, we'll ask what this all means for the very idea of rigor in our schools. Okay, so let's start at the very core of this whole system, the College Board. Now, they're not just some administrative body. You have to think of them as the protocol setters. They write the rules of the game, the curriculum, how the test works, the standards that literally everyone else in this ecosystem has to play by. And for a nonprofit, its leaders are doing pretty well. Back in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, the CEO of the College Board, David Coleman, had a compensation package worth over $2.5 million. I mean, that kind of salary really makes you question what the term nonprofit is even supposed to mean. And the corporate vibes, they don't stop there. Just look at their financials. Year after year after year, the College Board consistently pulls in over $1 billion in revenue. And they post profits, or what they call excess revenue, in the tens, sometimes hundreds of millions. This isn't the balance sheet of your local charity. It's a global operation. So where is all that money coming from? Well, a whopping 85.7% of it comes from something they call program services. And what that really means is it's a direct line from the wallets of students and school districts paying for the SAT and, of course, AP exams, which, by the way, are about $99 a pop right now. All right, so with the College Board setting this huge hurdle, it was pretty much inevitable that a multi-billion-dollar industry would pop up to sell the ladders. These are all the companies, from old-school publishers to brand-new digital startups, that give students the tools they need to win in the College Board's world. And in this space, you've really got two main models that have come out on top. On one side, you've got the content layer. Think companies like Perfection Learning. Their whole game is creating textbooks that are perfectly one-to-one aligned with the official curriculum. Then you've got the digital layer with startups like Fiveable, who are building these huge online communities to kind of socialize the stress of studying. Now, Perfection Learning, with their AMSCO brand, has completely dominated that content layer. And their genius move is actually really simple. They take the College Board's curriculum, which can be kind of dense, and they boil it down to exactly what a student needs to know to pass the test. And the result? Well, like this teacher said, students actually read it, and their scores go up. It's the ultimate business model of just perfect alignment. Meanwhile, Fiveable is absolutely crushing it in the digital layer. They've built this platform that's kind of part test prep, part social media. They do live-streamed lessons, they have Q&A forums, but their real product? It's community. It's a space where over 1.5 million students can help each other out. They basically figured out how to monetize peer-to-peer learning, and they've raised over $14 million to do it. And the money that's fueling the growth of companies like Fiveable, well, that comes from the next layer of our machine, the financial architects. We're talking about the venture capital firms who see a gigantic market in the AP ecosystem and are making these really strategic investments to shape where it goes next. And these VCs aren't just writing checks. They're active visionaries. You've got people like Rebecca Caden at Union Square Ventures, who invest in platforms that let people bypass the traditional gatekeepers. Or Susan Line at BBG Ventures, who's focused on companies serving diverse, what she calls polycultural audiences. And then there's Amit Patel at Owl Ventures, who's looking for platforms that can scale up globally and eventually be prepped for an IPO, an initial public offering when a private company hits the stock market. This quote right here from Union Square Ventures, their Fiveable's main investor, it perfectly sums up the whole VC strategy. They are not trying to play nice with the existing school system. Nope. They are funding companies specifically designed to operate outside of it because they believe that real change is going to be driven from the outside in. They're betting big on disruption. Okay, so now that we've mapped out this massive interconnected machine, let's stress test it a bit. Because this powerful system is starting to face some really big challenges, politically, socially, you name it. The most visible crack recently appeared down in Florida. When the College Board introduced its new AP African American Studies course, the state just flat out rejected it, calling it contrary to Florida law. What happened next? The College Board put out a revised version, making some of the more politically fraught topics optional. And that just set off a firestorm, with critics accusing them of caving to political pressure. This quote from a high school student in Louisiana really just cuts to the heart of it all. It shows how these huge, high-level political fights trickle all the way down and directly impact the students this whole system is supposed to be for. And sometimes it just sparks even more curiosity about the exact topics being fought over. And beyond these specific blow-ups, the entire ecosystem is facing some deep systemic critiques. Critics argue the College Board basically operates like an unaccountable monopoly that just steamrolls local control over what's taught in schools. There's also research suggesting the AP program can actually make racial inequality worse. Oh, and the organization has taken a lot of heat for selling student data to third parties, which even includes military recruiters. These are the very tensions that those disruptive, venture-backed companies are designed to exploit. So all of this leads us to the big final question. We've seen how the AP machine was built, how it keeps itself going, and where it's starting to crack. So what does the future actually hold for this particular definition of academic rigor? Let's just recap that circular economy one last time. It's so powerful. First, the College Board creates the requirement, the test. Second, a whole industry springs up to sell the solution. Third, venture capital comes in to fund the expansion of that solution. And finally, all of that usage just feeds right back into the system, cementing the College Board's protocol as the one and only standard. It is an incredibly powerful, self-reinforcing loop. And that leaves us with this final thought. The entire AP machine was engineered for a world that prized one thing above all else: standardization. But we are rapidly moving into a future that demands personalization, that requires political nimbleness, and is asking for completely new ways to define success, things like project-based learning or competency assessments. So the question is, can a system built for the 20th century with its one-size-fits-all approach really adapt to the challenges of the 21st? That remains the billion-dollar question.